Hey everyone, welcome to a special bonus episode of Locked On Lakers. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky crossing over with our friend Nick Angstadt from Locked On Mavs, who's going to explain to us why Mavs fans are so depressed and Lakers fans should be so excited now that we have Luka Doncic. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, sometimes on weekends, no matter how, where you get your podcasts. This one's always free, never behind a paywall. And Locked On Lakers on YouTube is where over 28,000 fans, now thank you, Slovenia, are hanging out and talking
Zdravo, everyone.
That is a pure Slovenia Luka bump. We know exactly where this came from. But we're all sitting here talking about exactly what happened here and why. And to help break it all down for us, Nick Angstadt from Locked On Mavs. Do want to let everyone know today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Nick, both Andy and I, who have, like you, talked about this trade all day, starting last night, our first instinct when we've heard this trade was to wonder what the problem was. Like, what are we missing here? They just traded Luka Doncic to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, good player, Max Christie, first round pick, whatever. But like, what are we missing? Is there something we were missing that should make Lakers fans concerned?
That's the question that we came to too, and that we started asking about Nico Harrison. So my first initial reaction, I'm sure many Lakers fans went over and saw it on Locked On Mavs. I said Nico Harrison's either the dumbest GM alive, he's a double agent for the Lakers, and eventually he's going to leave and go join LeBron, or used to work with at Nike, or he knows something else about Luka Doncic that we don't know. And that's kind of the one that is the only one that actually makes sense, because Nico has made good GM moves in the past. But for Luka, the reasons that Nico has said publicly, at least, are not good enough for the Mavs. But what they are, the ones that he did give, are his consistency in conditioning and showing up, and he's been dealing with this left leg injury, different kinds, calf, thigh, ankle, all kinds of weird stuff with his left leg for over a year now. And it's been pretty consistent all throughout the playoffs last year. You saw videos of him getting wrapped up and all kinds of different things like that. He was supposed to be back, and he was supposed to have this healthy offseason where he didn't play for his national team, and then he had a couple months, at least like a month or so off, and he was supposed to come back healthy, and he missed all of preseason because he got another injury. And so it just kept being a problem. And so the Mavs looked at it, and apparently behind the scenes there was more. He wasn't working out with trainers. He wasn't doing some of the things that they asked, didn't come in shape, all kinds of things like that. And Nico just decided that was enough. There's other kind of issues. The complaining to the refs has become a problem all throughout his career, where it messes with defensive plays, it messes with the morale of the team, it messes with the team's psyche overall, it messes with chemistry sometimes, where players are just tired of it. But the thing about all these things and all these issues, they're not good enough, because what Luka brings on the other end, and just the basketball end, and what he could roll out of bed and do at any given moment in the NBA is good enough to offset all that. So I'm not buying any of Nico's answers and any of his reasons, but those are the ones he gave.
How much of a sense did you get? Because like, obviously the frustration is real and evident because here we are right now and Luka's in LA. But how much of a sense do you get that behind the scenes they were really trying to reach Luka about this stuff, like on a very frank, even confrontational level? Because I would like to think that if you're going to make a move this drastic, it's because you feel like you've exhausted every possibility before you do it.
Yeah, you would hope, but I don't know. That's a thing that I've had a criticism of Jason Kidd for a long time, is that if you're supposed to be the coach that speaks to star players and that can speak directly and frankly to a star player because you were a star player and they look up to you and all that, then why are we still having these same issues with Luka? And so apparently whatever he was trying wasn't working. And there was a couple years ago, Luka was in a press conference and he was asked about complaining to the refs, and he said, "I don't know, I'm trying. Maybe I'm not." It's kind of like a, it is what it is kind of thing. We'll see what happens. And that's kind of what it is with Luka sometimes, where he goes, he I think he knows all of his weaknesses, but whether he's going to address them or not is up to him. And honestly, like, does he have to? He just made the finals, just took a team to the finals, dealing with the injuries and with all the other stuff too. He, to me, is a little bit like Shaq, where Shaq would ramp up during a season, be playing his best basketball by March or so, and then all of a sudden you're going into the finals and you're like, oh man, this guy is so good because he can just roll out of bed and do what he can do.
It's funny you say that, Nick, because in our reaction podcast to this, I said that it felt to me like this is the first time the Lakers are dealing with this specific type of issue, assuming it does surface with the Lakers, since Shaq. Because it certainly was not the case with Kobe. I would say he was pretty self-motivated. The working was accounted for. Whatever you think about LeBron and the reason that he wanted to be a Laker and how much of this is LA and other opportunities or whatever, like, you don't have to worry about LeBron dedicating himself to the basketball. You don't, frankly, have to worry about Anthony Davis dedicating himself to the basketball piece. So it's been a long time since the Lakers have had to at least potentially deal with something like this. Is Luka, do you think he is, forget whether or not he'll take the criticism to heart and do something about it, but how open do you think he is even to just hearing you're not doing X correctly?
I think if he's going to be open to anybody on the planet, possibly, it would be LeBron James. And seeing LeBron up close and doing all that, there were times when the Lakers would play the Mavs, and I was like, man, I just hope that Luka follows LeBron around for his pregame and for all this stuff, and to whatever cryo chamber he goes in, and whatever vault he locks himself in, and whatever he's putting into his body, and all the balance drills that we always see on social and all that stuff. I wish that he would. And apparently not. But if he's going to learn it from anybody, it would be LeBron, because Luka has talked so much about how LeBron is a player that he looked up to. Obviously, LeBron has said the same thing about Luka, that he's a player that he admires in the league. And so if there's anybody, maybe like I said, on planet Earth who is going to get through to Luka and say, hey man, this is what it takes in the NBA to be at this level, and I'm one of the greatest athletes of all time, and I'm doing this, then what do you have to do to get to that level? And so if anyone's going to do it, I think it would be LeBron.
The other half of that is pettiness and bitterness. Basically being dumped by your team because they're saying you're not worth the money, you're not trustworthy, and all that stuff. With that in mind, how much does just being dumped by the Mavs motivate him to, at the very least in the short term, be super petty and get in shape just to spite them? Because I'm okay with that too.
Could we see his just got dumped body, Nick?
To win the breakup?
His revenge body.
Yeah,
his revenge body coming.
I mean, for Lakers fans, I guess I hope. I don't know. Do I hope that? I don't know if I hope that. But for him, he is one of those players. He does not forget. He has grudges with so many players across the league. And I don't know if it works with teams, because we've only seen him with one team in the NBA and just Real Madrid in Europe too. But he holds on to stuff. The Rudy Gobert, there's stuff still with him. There's still stuff with Terrence Mann from back in the bubble with the Clippers. There's stuff with Chris Dunn. He loves when Chris Dunn gets ejected from a game when the Mavs play him, whatever team he's on. Lou Dort, there's no love lost there. There's just Mo Wagner. There's player after player in the NBA he holds grudges against. And so if it is going to work that way, and honestly, Nico, all the things Nico said if I was Luka, I would hold all the grudges in the world against him, and I would want to drop 73 against Dallas every time I play him, then I think he would, and you'll see that.
I'm going to take a quick break and let you know that Locked On Lakers is brought to you by Game Time. I love going to live events, whether sports, music, theater, comedy. One of my favorite memories of 2024 was Hamilton on Broadway last spring. Went to New York with my wife and daughter. Great show. My daughter got to meet basically the entire cast after the show. Everyone was extremely nice. She took selfies with them. It was just a really fun day. And Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with features like Game Time Picks. It filters out all of the fluff and just shows you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time sifting through thousands of tickets. And the app's all-in pricing shows the total cost up front with no surprise fees at the checkout. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. And Locked On Lakers is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Basketball season is heating up, clearly. I mean, look at what's been going around the NBA. And there's no better way to get real money action while watching your favorite NBA stars than with Prize Picks. Whether you are a diehard fan or just love a little friendly competition, Prize Picks makes it easy to turn your basketball knowledge into cash. Here's how it works. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Do you think, for example, LeBron is going to drop 30 points in a game, more or less? Or maybe you think Luka is going to get 10 or less assists. Now they're teammates. Prize Picks lets you make your predictions and put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. And with Prize Picks flex play option, even if one of the picks doesn't hit, you can still double your money. And if you do hit, once you hit, you get your money fast, sometimes within 15 minutes. Keep any game exciting with Prize Picks, and now is the perfect time to join. Download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. There's not even a need to win with the $5 lineup to get your bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. I'm very, I believe April 9th, the Lakers...
There's a February 25th and an April 9th that these two teams play.
Very, very much looking forward to those games. I have a feeling that the thank you, Luka video will not be enough to sway his emotions on this.
No.
I just want to, all of the reactions here, because it's funny, like Lakers fans are excited. I think they are understanding what the Lakers have acquired here, but there is the question of, like, first of all, the why, and like what exactly was wrong with him. And then I guess there are some lingering questions about fit, like, because LeBron doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. He doesn't want to leave LA. And, if that's the case, then you got, at least the next couple of seasons, the end of this one and certainly in next, I would suspect those two guys are going to be playing together. Now, while on the one hand, the idea of putting basically LeBron 1.0 and LeBron 2.0
White
in
LeBron.
Terms of, right. Offensively, at least, and he's not the same athlete as LeBron, but like functionally in an offense, they are two guys who kind of accomplish similar things. Like, how does that work in your mind? Like, in the raw ball movement and playmaking talent here is staggering. But do you see any issues with those two guys playing together?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about those a lot this summer when there was the weird LeBron to the Mavericks rumors, right? Where that was the thing that got brought up, is what if he reunites with Kyrie and plays with Luka? He loves playing with Luka. And I did not think it would be the opposite way, that Luka would be the one going to the Lakers. But here we are in 2025, year of our Lord. Luka can, defensively, play defense well one-on-one. He can hold his own. He's statistically one of the best post defenders in the NBA. When somebody tries to post him up, some of the pettiness where somebody tries to size him up, he's going to hold his own. The off-ball stuff, the coming around screens, the anything that involves like movement or paying attention to stuff off ball sometimes. If he's not like trying to swipe for a steal, which he's very good at getting deflections and steals, very smart player, cerebral, and can find passing lanes and do that. If he's not doing that and taking risks, then he can get lost and he can just get completely blown by, and that can mess up a whole quarter, a whole game sometimes. But then Luka gives it back to you on the other end, and he can make up for it and hit a game-winning shot, and all of a sudden everything is good and roses and all that. But defensively, that's an issue. Offensively, he can get pretty trigger happy with his step back three, and if that's rolling, then it's lights out. There's no way you can cover him. He's the best offensive player in the NBA when his three-point shot is going like that. When it's not, then what does he turn to? That depends on his conditioning. We saw all through the playoffs he struggled to create separation, with his first step to get to certain spots on the floor, and he had to settle for a lot of jumpers and a lot of different things. But if we see Luka back in that condition where we've seen him before, where his first step is great, he can get to any of his spots. He has messed around at the mid range. Luka, the type of player Luka is, and I wonder how much Lakers fans I've heard about him throughout the years. Probably a lot, because he's been one of the greatest star players in the NBA. The first time Luka took a step back three was in a game, not in practice, in a game his rookie year against the Rockets, where he went on an 11-0 run, where he goes, man, I'm going to try that against James Harden's team and just take a step back three. He had never taken one before in his life, took one, made it, and goes on an 11-0 run by himself to beat the Rockets in his rookie year. And it was one of the greatest moments of his rookie year. But it just shows who Luka is, that he can just step out and do whatever he wants. He can see it in, kind of like Taskmaster in Marvel, where he can just scan whatever fighting style that person is doing and then give it back to him in a way. And yeah, so all the deficiencies, Luka will give it back on offense for sure, but the deficiencies they're definitely there.
What are you most, I guess, optimistic or excited? I mean, as excited as you can be as a Mavs person to see with LeBron and Luka together. And what do you think is going to be the biggest, if not obstacle, thing that is going to require a minute before it really looks good?
Luka has this thing where he tries to adopt players and call them his son. He did this with Jalen Brunson. He did this with a lot of players, and I'm very curious to see what he does with Bronny. Does he call him his son? Does he go there? I'm curious about that. I'm also curious about the passing between the two of them, because you're talking about two of the greatest passers in NBA history, and the geometry of the court just completely changes when those two guys are together. Luka can make passes that maybe only Jokic can make in the NBA right now. And so to find guys like that, there's just going to be so many wide open shots for Reeves and Connect and so many different guys. Does that make the Lakers better? Is LeBron already creating those looks? And, will Luka just make them while LeBron is off the court? That's a thing that I'm looking for. But obviously the passing of the two is just, it's insane to have two guys that good on the same team. I don't know, maybe it's never happened.
I was going to say Luka is considered a pick and roll maestro. LeBron, a pick and roll maestro. The two of them together, running pick and roll, no matter who's setting the screen, no matter who's got the ball, that feels pretty damn impossible to guard if it's actually going.
Yeah, the times they ran it with Kyrie were great, and the times that he's run it with PJ Washington or other guys that can handle the ball too, that it changes a lot. And when Luka sets screens and when he's locked in like that, it just opens up so much, because you can't leave Luka to go then take the ball handler, right? Like if Luka's the guy rolling, you just can't leave him. I'm also interested to see if Luka switches from beer to wine with Jason Kidd and LeBron, and maybe that's something that'll help him in his career.
How does he feel about tequila? Because his new teammate is a tequila baron, Nick.
The last thing that I'll leave you guys with.
As is his new owner, for that matter. She's also a tequila baron. There's two tequila barons inside the Lakers.
Do you think he watches the Netflix show, the Waves one? I'll leave you guys with this. I'll never be able to play it on my show again, and I'm very frustrated and upset about it, but I'll leave it for you guys, and I'll send you the file if you want it. Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic, Luka Doncic, so Luka Doncic, I won! It was a joy to play that after every great Luka game.
All right, Nick Angstadt, the host of Locked On Mavs, very sad Nick Angstadt, who has to redo all of his sound and everything. And
I did do that.
I don't know if you were one of the people who brought a coffin to the arena today in protest. But the fact that Mavs fans and apparently inside the organization, everybody's so upset, does make me feel a little bit better about any risk the Lakers might be taking here. And because I couldn't figure out what the catch was. What's the trick here? Apparently there isn't one. So we appreciate you coming on. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.